The mental binge, why your thoughts decide which you shows up. I used to think I was one person. Then I got sober and realized there were a lot of different versions of me showing up throughout the day. There was the version of me that woke up determined to stay sober. There was the version of me later in the day that wanted a drink. There was the guilt version of me that appeared after bad decisions. There was the anxious version of me that could turn an ordinary trip to the grocery store into a major life event. And there was the calm version of me that occasionally showed up and wondered what all the fuss was about. I felt like I was carrying around a cast of characters inside my own head. The strange part was that whichever version showed up felt completely real at the time. When I was anxious, anxiety felt like the truth. When I was guilty, guilt felt like the truth. When I was afraid, fear felt like the truth. And when I was drinking, drinking felt like the answer. But looking back now, I can see something I couldn't see then. The version of me that showed up depended on the thoughts I had been rehearsing. If I binged on a fearful thought long enough, the anxious Gerard appeared. If I binged on resentment, the angry Gerard appeared. If I binged on guilt, the guilty Gerard took over. And if I binged on thoughts about drinking, sooner or later, the drinker showed up. That's why I call it a mental binge. Most people think binging only applies to food or alcohol. But we binge on thoughts too. We replay conversations. We replay mistakes. We replay worries. We replay imaginary disasters that haven't happened yet. And the more attention we give those thoughts, the more real they begin to feel. I spent years doing that with anxiety. I thought anxiety was attacking me from the outside. What I eventually realized was that I was feeding it from the inside. I was rehearsing fearful thoughts over and over until they became my reality. The harder I fought those thoughts, the stronger they seemed to become. Not because they were powerful, because I kept giving them the microphone. And here's what changed everything for me. I stopped treating every thought as an instruction. I stopped assuming every thought deserved my attention. I stopped believing that every version of me that showed up needed to take control of my day. Because not every thought deserves a seat at the table. And not every personality that knocks on your door needs to be invited inside. The anxious version of you will show up sometimes. The angry version, the guilty version, the fearful version, they're all part of being human, but they don't have to run the show. You can notice them, you can let them pass, and you can choose which version of yourself gets the microphone, because whichever one you feed is usually the one the world meets. That's today's sticky note. If this podcast meant something to you, please share it or hit follow so you don't miss the next episode. You can follow me on TikTok or Facebook. You can find me online at trippingovermyself.com. My books are available on Amazon. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.